Pack your bags, we're headed on a big old ride, with dreams of sunlit shores and the open skies, from the hills of Cyprus to where the world collides.
All right, ready for a deep dive? This one's a bit different.
Yeah, definitely unique. We're diving into a travel blog this time.
But hold on, there's a twist.
Oh, there's always a twist with us.
This isn't your typical look at my amazing vacation kind of blog. It's actually chronicling a couple's move from the UK to Cyprus to, start their new life together.
A big move.
Huge. And tucked away in their archives are posts from their Caribbean cruise back in 2015.
Fascinating, right. These entries aren't about the cruise itself, really. They're more like snapshots woven into this larger story of their life change. We get this raw, almost like a fly-on-the-wall glimpse into what really struck them during that trip.
Exactly. It makes you think, does escaping that dreary UK winter for a Caribbean adventure, does that make settling into a new life a little bit easier? Something to ponder.
It's a thought, for sure. But before we dive into those turquoise waters, they actually begin their journey with a layover.
A layover?
Yeah, but not just any layover. They actually spent time exploring a town near Gatwick Airport.
Wait, you mean they didn't just camp out at the gate battling for airport Wi-Fi?
Nope. They were much more adventurous than that. They even went pub hopping. Ended up at this place called Ye Olde Six Bell.
Ye Olde Six Bells. Sounds charming.
It gets better. They claim it's the second oldest pub in England.
Okay, that's pretty cool. Definitely beats overpriced airport food.
Okay.
But I'm curious, did they say why this particular pub appealed to them?
They did. And it's actually pretty cool. Beyond the historical charm, it was the pub's connection to local legends and ghost stories that really drew them in. Remember, this is a couple who moved to a whole new country for a fresh start.
Right.
So it makes sense they'd be drawn to places with a sense of history, mystery even, places where they can kind of step back in time.
Let's be honest. The real gem here is their first cruise destination. Havana, Cuba.
Ah, Cuba.
I mean, come on, Cuba in 2015, that's like stepping into a time capsule.
Absolutely. And they capture that feeling perfectly in their writing. Picture this. Streets filled with those classic 50s American cars, all that gleaming chrome, vibrant colors, instead of your typical traffic.
Oh, I can only imagine. It's like a scene straight out of a movie.
Exactly. And it's not just the cars. They stumbled upon this outdoor art exhibit near the cruise terminal, a collection of bears, each one representing a different country.
Bears. That's a bit unexpected.
It is, right? But it highlights those serendipitous encounters that make travel so fascinating. You never know what you'll stumble upon. Speaking of unexpected, their overall experience in Havana actually debunks some common concerns. Back then, there were a lot of worries about tourist safety, especially for Americans.
Yeah, you hear those stories.
But they specifically mention feeling safe and welcomed by the locals. That genuine warmth really shines through in their writing.
It definitely sets the stage for a more positive experience.
It does. And it sets the tone for their entire Havana adventure. The next day, they embark on this private tour.
Fancy.
Right, led by a guide named Radek. And get this, he picks them up in a cherry red 1951 Lincoln Lido convertible.
Talk about arriving in style.
Right, and this Radek, he's not your average tour guide. He takes them to places most tourists wouldn't even know about. Their first stop, Ernest Hemingway's house.
Wow. Hemingway's house, as in the Ernest Hemingway, the literary giant.
The one and only.
I can only imagine what that must have been like to see.
They describe it as a time capsule. Clothes still hanging in the closet, writing of desk untouched, like he just stepped out for a moment. It paints such a vivid picture of the man behind those iconic words.
That's incredible. You can practically feel the history in the air.
Absolutely. But their adventure doesn't end there. After Hemingway's haunt, Radek whisks them off to the Cristo statue, this imposing marble figure overlooking the harbor, a true symbol of Havana.
Okay, now I'm getting serious FOMO.
Yeah.
From a time capsule of a house to this breathtaking statue, they really hit the jackpot of unique experiences.
They really did, and they knew it. They even rave about their lunch at El Canana's restaurant. Fresh fish, a view of the harbor, and of course those quintessential Cuban mojitos.
Okay, you're making me hungry.
Yeah.
They really knew how to do Havana right. Sightseeing, history, local cuisine.
It's all about finding those contrasts, even within a single destination.
Speaking of contrasts, they eventually sail away from Havana as the sun sets, calling it one of the most enjoyable cities they've ever visited. But their Caribbean journey doesn't end there. So we've left Havana behind, sun-drenched memories and mojitos in tow. Where do our intrepid bloggers sail to next?
Picture this. They wake up anchored off Playa del Carmen, Mexico.
Ah, Playa del Carmen. Beaches, turquoise waters, what's not to love?
Right. But it's not the beaches they rave about. It's the sunrise they witnessed from the deck of the ship.
Okay, I have to admit, I'm a sucker for a good sunrise, especially over the ocean. There's just something magical about those colors reflecting on the water.
And it really sets the scene, doesn't it, for their time in Mexico. They could have gone for those famous Playa del Carmen beaches, but they opted for something different.
Oh, do tell.
Salha Marine Park. Ever heard of it?
Salah, yeah. I've heard great things about that snorkeling. It's like swimming in a giant natural aquarium, right?
You got it. And they were blown away by how many fish they saw. So many different kinds. But you know what I found most relatable?
What's that?
Their attempt to navigate the lazy river on an inflatable.
Oh no, not the inflatable.
Mhm.
Let me guess, there was some comical splashing involved.
You can practically hear the laughter in their writing. It's a good reminder that even amidst all these idyllic settings, it's those unplanned, kind of goofy moments that we remember most.
So true. It's not always about those picture-perfect Instagram shots. Sometimes it's about embracing the silliness of it all. But their Mexican adventure doesn't end there. They celebrate Mandy's birthday on board.
Watching the sunset over Playa del Carmen as they sail away.
From sunrise to sunset. Sounds like they made the most of their time in Mexico. But next up is an island famous for luxury and, surprisingly, stingrays.
Luxury, I get. Stingrays, not so much. Not your typical Caribbean vacation.
Hold on, stingrays. You're kidding, right?
Not kidding. Grand Cayman is home to this unique spot. It's called Stingray City, a shallow sandbar where you can swim with stingrays.
Seriously, they got in the water with stingrays.
They did. And get this, they even got to feed them squid.
Wow, that's brave.
Yeah.
And pretty cool. It's like they stepped outside their comfort zone and into another world.
It's those unexpected experiences that really stick with you. But don't worry, they made sure to enjoy some more traditional Caribbean fare as well.
Okay, good. I was starting to get worried. So what was on the menu?
They raved about the conch fritters at Tiki Beach, a local delicacy that, frankly, sounds delicious.
Cod fritters, stingrays, wait for it,
Yeah.
and a Michael Jackson-themed show back on the ship.
Talk about a diverse itinerary.
That's an understatement. But it really does highlight the contrast they experienced throughout this entire cruise.
It shows that they're not just focused on those big tourist attractions. They're really making an effort to savor the flavors of the places they visit.
And speaking of savoring flavors, no Caribbean adventure is complete without a signature cocktail or two.
Obviously.
They end their day with Hurricane Force 4 cocktails at a beachfront bar called Breezes.
Okay, now that sounds like the perfect end to a day of exploring.
Right. Toes in the sand, sipping those tropical drinks as the sun sets over the ocean.
Dreamy. It makes you realize they've managed to pack so much into just 9 days: historical sites, natural wonders, cultural experiences.
From the historical streets of Havana to the underwater world of Grand Cayman, every stop offered something completely different.
And isn't that what makes travel so enriching? It's not just about ticking off destinations. It's about those new experiences, even if they're a little scary or out of the ordinary.
I like that. But their journey and our deep dive into their experience isn't over just yet. We've journeyed from Havana with its vintage cars and Hemingway's legacy to swimming with stingrays in Grand Cayman. What's the secret sauce? What made this cruise so memorable for them?
It's subtle. They don't come right out and say it.
Oh, intrigue. I like it.
But it's there, woven into every experience. The power of contrasts.
Contrasts. Go on.
Think about it. Swapping those gray skies of a UK winter for the vibrant colors of the Caribbean. Exploring the time capsule of Havana one day, and then snorkeling in a totally different world in Grand Cayman the next.
You're right. It wasn't just one amazing thing after another, but based on Rob and Mandy's example, it seems like it can be a bit of both.
I think that's a good takeaway.
They were clearly present enough to soak in the details to have those spontaneous moments of laughter and connection. But by taking the time to record it all, they've also created this treasure trove of memories that they can revisit whenever they want.
It's a good reminder that there's no right or wrong way to travel, just as there's no right or wrong way to document those journeys. The key is to find what works for you, what allows you to connect with the experience in a meaningful way.
So true. And maybe that's the most important souvenir we can bring back from our travels, those little reminders of how a place made us feel. Well, that's all the time we have for today's deep dive. But it's got me thinking, what kind of traveler am I? And how can I capture those travel memories in a way that feels authentic to me? Something for all of us to ponder, I think.
Definitely food for thought. And trust me, this blog, it's got it all. We're joining Rob and Mandy. They're the ones behind the blog back in January of 2015,
Okay.
right in the middle of their Caribbean adventure.
So we're focusing on Jamaica in this one, right?
You got it. We've got excerpts from a bunch of their blog posts all about their time in Jamaica. We're talking chance encounters with other travelers, a bus tour that is anything but ordinary.
Did I hear something about badminton champs?
Oh, that's coming up, and let me tell you, it is quite the story. And their description of arriving in Negril, they're talking powder soft sand, clear, warm waters.
Classic.
I mean, come on, it sounds amazing.
It's those details, just draws you in.
Totally. And get this, they're staying at a resort called Couples Swept Away.
Okay, the name alone,
I know, right?
begging for a story.
I can't even. So they start their time in Negril, enjoying the simple pleasures,
Yeah.
swimming, soaking up the sun, quiet dinners.
Sounds rough.
I know. But knowing Rob and Mandy, they're not content to just lounge around for too long.
Exactly. They're going to find some adventure.
Oh, absolutely. And that's where this deep dive gets really good.
Okay.
They go on this tour of the resort, led by a local named Hoot. Even the tour guide's name is memorable.
I love that. Okay, so it's the couples resort. What's the vibe?
Well, they definitely make sure to point out the huge sports complex and get the 6 restaurants.
6.
6. I'm already picturing the all-inclusive buffet.
Right. All the food, all the time.
Seriously. They even mentioned sushi, which, after days of island food, probably really hit the spot.
Oh, for sure. A little variety is always nice.
Right. But here's where the real magic happens. While they're swimming in the ocean, they have this chance encounter with a group of Americans.
No way. Come on.
Seriously, talk about being in the right place at the right time. They end up sharing drinks, conversation, just that classic, serendipitous meeting that travel is made for.
I love that. And, this is back in 2015.
Yeah.
Social media wasn't quite the same beast it is now.
True.
But even then, it makes an appearance.
Oh. Okay, tell me more. How does social media play into this?
So one of the Americans I met, Sunburnt Stephanie, actually commented on their blog post about the encounter.
No way.
Yes.
Did she confirm it was as epic as they made it sound?
She sure did. Stephanie said they had a blast in the water, cocktails and all.
I love that. Proof that sometimes those unplanned moments really become the best memories.
So you can't plan for that kind of stuff.
Okay, so we've got idyllic beaches, chance encounters, cocktails in the ocean. What else does Negril have in store for Rob and Mandy?
Well, it seems like they find a nice rhythm to their days. They talk about Rob hitting the gym, Mandy getting her laps in at the pool, definitely making the most of those resort amenities.
Living the good life. But they're not all about resort life, right?
Right.
They do venture out to explore 7 Mile Beach, which, from the photos, is absolutely stunning.
Oh, yeah. Those pictures are incredible. And, of course, no beach experience is complete without running into a few local vendors.
Of course not.
They mentioned meeting some real characters selling trinkets.
Did they buy anything?
They don't say, but they describe the whole thing with, lighthearted banter. So I'm picturing lots of laughs.
Sounds about right. They always seem to find the humor in those everyday interactions. But first, we have to talk about the bus trip.
Oh.
This is where things take a bit of an unexpected turn.
I am intrigued. Let's hear about this bus trip.
A bus trip, huh? This wasn't your typical, hop-on, hop-off sightseeing tour, was it?
Not even close. This is the One Love Bar Bus.
Okay, the name alone.
And it is exactly what it sounds like. Picture this. A packed bus. 36 passengers.
Oh, wow, that's a lot of people.
All Americans and Canadians.
Except for
Rob and Mandy.
of course, naturally.
Ready to hit 7 local bars.
7 bars in one night.
That's the One Love Bar Bus for you.
Okay, color me intrigued. Did they happen to mention, what kind of bars these were?
They don't really go into specifics about each stop.
Okay.
But they do emphasize the atmosphere, so we're talking lively, music-filled,
Okay.
full of laughter.
I can only imagine 7 bars in one night.
Right. They actually included a photo of themselves mid-laugh
Oh, no way.
with a group of fellow passengers.
That's what I love about travel blogs. You
Yeah.
get this little, glimpses into the experience that you just wouldn't get in a guidebook.
Totally.
But let's talk about the grand finale. They mentioned a clifftop bar.
Yes. The One Love Bar Bus. It saves the best for last.
Okay.
Picture this. Clifftop bar. Breathtaking sunset views.
Amazing.
And good company. Sounds like a perfect ending to me.
It does. It really does.
Right.
Okay, but hold on. They also mentioned something kind of cryptic about the British embassy. Did they ever explain that?
See, that's the thing. They don't.
Oh, come on.
As they're pulling back into the hotel,
Yeah.
the driver, Lambert, just casually drops this line. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the British Embassy.
And that's it. That's all we get.
They leave us hanging.
What did he mean?
No idea.
Oh, man, that is such a tease.
It's great, though.
It's like, their little inside joke for anyone who happens to, stumble upon their blog. It definitely adds to the charm.
It's those little moments of humor that make their stories so relatable. And as much as I hate to say it, Day 15 marked their last day in Negril.
The end of an era. But I'm sure they made the most of it.
Oh, they did. They started the day with a Hobie cat ride, guided by Tivon, another friendly face they'd met along the way.
It seems like they made quite a few new friends during their trip.
They did. And they even managed to squeeze in one last visit to the local reef in Booby Cay Island.
Of course they did. Always up for an adventure right up until the very end.
And naturally, no last day would be complete without one final sunset.
They really did save the best for last, didn't they?
I know. And for their last meal, they chose the Feathers restaurant.
Any reason why that one?
They specifically called out the snapper there, saying it was exceptional.
Going out with a bang. I see. Did they try anything else?
They gave a shout out to their mean Irish coffee.
Sounds like the perfect way to toast to an amazing trip.
Right. But sadly, by day 17, they were back in London after a bit of a delayed flight.
Oh, no. Delayed flights are never fun. Hopefully it wasn't too bad.
They did make up some time with a strong tailwind. But there was one thing that wasn't so pleasant waiting for them.
I bet it was a bit of a shock going back to reality.
Well, the first thing they noticed was the temperature difference. A chilly 8 degrees Celsius compared to the warmth of Jamaica.
Brr, that'll wake you up. I can only imagine that feeling of stepping off the plane and being hit with that cold air.
It's definitely a stark contrast. After checking into their hotel, did they jump right back into sightseeing mode?
I wouldn't blame them if they took it easy for a bit.
They did. They ended up at the Gatwick Manor pub for a drink and a bite to eat.
A cozy pub sounds like the perfect way to unwind after a long journey.
You know, it's funny how their trip both began and ended in a pub.
It's like a full circle moment. And speaking of full circle moments, as we wrap up our deep dive into Rob and Mandy's Jamaican adventure,
It really makes you appreciate those chance encounters and unexpected detours that can make a trip so memorable.
absolutely. From their snowstorm detour in Crawley to meeting former badminton champions and embracing the vibrant culture of Jamaica, their story is a reminder that sometimes the best adventures are the ones you least expect.
And you know what else stood out to me? Their genuine appreciation for the simple things. Those breathtaking sunsets, the flavors of the local cuisine, even just taking the time to chat with locals and fellow travelers.
It's a good reminder that we can find those moments of joy and connection wherever we go, whether it's a trip across the globe or just exploring our own backyard.
So for our listeners out there, if you're feeling that travel bug, remember that adventure is out there waiting for you. You just have to be open to embracing it.
And who knows, maybe you'll be the one inspiring us with your travel tales someday.
That's what we love about travel, the stories we collect and the memories we make. And with that, we'll wrap up this deep dive into Rob and Mandy's A New Life Planned in Cyprus.
Until next time, keep exploring and keep sharing your adventures.
A new life plan where we never hide.
Out on the highway, chasing the